So hello everybody, welcome to my poster. My name is Christos Charalambous, and here I present to you some work I have undertaken together with Dr. Czaplicka, Professor Toral, and Professor San Miguel. The title of the poster is A Biased Voter Model, How Persuasive a Small Group Can Be. And the goal of the project was exactly this. We assumed that we had a group of agents where some fraction of them had preference towards a certain fixed opinion. And we wanted to study how then these voters with the preferred opinion can convince the rest of the voters. We studied this in two distinct scenarios. First, where all of them were lying on the same topology, and second, and we termed this biased independent topology scenario, and the second case where the biased voters lied on a different network topology than the agents that are unbiased. So in the general dynamics of the voters are the one presented here, where some fraction gamma of them has a bias V towards a certain fixed opinion. So in this biased independent topology, the degree distributions are the same for biased and unbiased voters. And here are the set of quantities of interest in this case. Here, the important thing to note is that because of this independence in the biased independence in the topology of the type of the voters, then we only have a single. This system is only characterized by a single active link density, where active links are the links that are connecting voters with distinct opinions. So so we derived expressions for how this active link evolves as a function of the spin magnetization for two distinct types of topologies, namely an all-to-all topology and an Erdos-Renyi random network. And for this Erdos-Renyi random network, we also verified that our expression, so the all-to-all topology expression is already known, but for the Erdos-Renyi network, we had to derive analytical results, which we verified through computer simulations in Figure 1. In Figure 2, we studied one of the main observables in this type of studies, which is the time to consensus. And we studied as a function of the effective bias defined here in the asymptotic limit that this goes to infinity, which analytically we found that it should depend, then the consensus time should then depend logarithmically on the number of agents, which we verified through the simulations. In Figure 3, we studied again this consensus time as a function of the average degree of an Erdos-Renyi random network. And we found that as the average degree reduces, then the time to consensus, so interactions reduce, time to consensus increases, which in accordance to this, then we found that the time to consensus on an Erdos-Renyi random network is larger than the time to consensus for an all-to-all network. In Figure 4, the most important thing to note is that for large initial magnetization sigma and large effective bias beta, the time to consensus matches the time to consensus conditioned on arriving at the preferred state of the biased voters. For the biased dependent topology case, then so in this case we see that we assume that the degree distribution is not the same for biased and unbiased voters, which results in a much more complicated scenario where we have 4 distinct types of active link densities that we have to the evolution of which we have to find. And basically what we did in this section of the project was we identified a quantity delta, which is the ratio of the average degrees among only biased voters over the average degrees among only unbiased voters. We found the value that this takes for the previous scenario of biased independent topology on a Erdos-Renyi random network. And we identified ways that we could amend the connections in our network in order to deviate from this delta random. And we constructed 2 models to do so. And we found that for that second model, where we're keeping constant the interactions among unbiased and biased voters and increasing or decreasing the average degrees among only biased voters, we found that the time to consensus was significantly reduced as these interactions among only biased voters were increasing. Thank you very much.